I grew up on the Gulf Coast of Mexico. Um, so when I see the ocean or a large body of water, such as a large river, so on and so forth, I have two emotions that really are conflicting and are within me. One is I feel home and I feel safe and I feel that the world is a beautiful place. The minute I am below the surface of the water or my feet are underneath me, I feel panic. I physically cannot allow my feet to touch the floor of that body of water. I cannot even take my feet from below my shoulders. It is a reflex. It is a panic. I am terrified that there is something unknown that is going to kill me.
To me, thalassophobia, however you pronounce that, I guess, would be sort of a fear of, deep, dark, open water, because you really don't know what's down there.
For me, it's a fear of something cold and unfeeling and bigger than me being switched on and causing my death. And I'm totally out of control with that.
It's the uncertainty of what lurks out of my sight in this unnatural habitat that I'm in that drives my fear.
I think for me it's always just been about the fear of what lies beneath the surface in terms of, I suppose, animals or sea creatures. I always have this feeling that something's gonna trap itself around my feet and drive me down under.
Once you get kind of out there and you look down and there's nothing, you don't know what's down there. There can be anything. We've explored maybe 10% of our oceans, I think it was. And we have no idea what's down there, and that's a huge thing, because there could be anything. That's a terrifying thought.
It's almost like a fear of the dark.
I'm afraid of the dark. I have a hard time walking through the house, and it's a pretty short walk from my room to the kitchen, but it's difficult to walk there without the lights on. I always end up running back to my room. You don't know what's out there. There could be anything, and when you think there's anything, your brain kind of thinks of anything, and it just runs rampant, your imagination.
And you have to understand, I'm not afraid of anything else. I am not afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of spiders. I can identify and pick up snakes and move them to other places. I am not afraid of someone coming in the house and me not being able to fight them off. I am not afraid of terrorists. I'm only afraid of this deep, dark, hulking metal creature. Some people are afraid of sea monsters when it comes to some sort of fear of the water. I'm afraid of something that is not alive.
I think everyone has that when you stand on the top of a tall building and you feel the urge to jump. I think the French have a word for it, but I can't really remember. It's just knowing that you have the ability to make that choice, but you don't. Like, it's like the sort of thing that's really easily within your grasp. I mean, you can jump any minute, but you just kind of choose not to. I mean, the slightest gust of wind could send you over. Like, I'm a short person. Like, it would be very easy to push me off the side of a building. I remember I was watching, I think it was Jaws when I was a kid. And you know that scene where they start playing like the music and everything, it's really dramatic, and then the shark just comes out of nowhere. Like, every time I was in deep water, it would start to feel like that.
I joined the military after high school. I was in the Army, stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. There's a lake there, a man-made lake called Lake Latonka. We used to go out there. A friend had a reasonably sized boat, and we would, tow an inner tube behind it, and we'd whip the person around a few times, and eventually you'd hit the wake of the boat. One particular summer, I was the guy on the inner tube. I was having a fairly good go, and about the third time they dragged me back across the wake of the boat, I was unable to keep my balance, and the inner tube flipped almost completely upside down. I cratered quite hard into the water, and as the boat went to circle around to pick me back up, I looked down. I could not even see my waist, much less my legs, much less my feet. I had no idea how deep it was where I was. I had no idea what else might be there, and there was this feeling of isolation and helplessness as I floated, waiting for my friends to return. I was there maybe 45 seconds by myself, but those were some of the longest seconds of my entire life.
My earliest true trigger was when I was 7 years old. My father and his uncle went from our beach house just offshore to test a repair in the hull of their sailboat. A storm came up suddenly, and the sailboat capsized. Because they were only a couple hundred yards from the shore, from our beach house, my mother, who was then heavily pregnant with my sister, and my brother, who at the time was 3, we watched helpless. They were drowning. They did not have their life vests with them, which was stupid. And they were near a bridge and some different rigs for oil rigs. And I remember thinking, what is going on? Why aren't they getting back in the boat? Why aren't they riding the boat? And my mother said, we have to watch this. And only as an adult did I realize that we were watching them die. Fortunately, they were rescued, but I think that was the time I really realized that this place that I loved has this hidden danger. This could be your death or the death of someone you love. And it could be something that is totally out of control, where you are on the shore watching your father drown. My anxiety is very much a fear of the unknown, a fear of what lurks in the dark.
I believe ambiguity is vastly responsible for a great deal of fears, or in a bare minimum a contributing factor in very nearly every fear and phobia.
The link between fascination and fear would be there's a morbid curiosity. You don't want to look, but much like a car crash, you can't help but look.
My body has this instinctual fight or flight. And even though I can talk about it all day, when I am actually in a situation in the water where my phobia is allowed to take over, there's no stopping it. I will cry, I will flail, I will panic, and my family will point and laugh at me. It is almost silly, but it's where that healthy fear has gone too far, and my brain cannot make the new connections to understand that it's going to be okay.
You're not afraid of the dark. You're not afraid of open water, really. What you're afraid of is losing control and not being able to predict accurately what's going to happen in the future.